Hey everybody, Brittany here from Surfing Waves of Light, and I'm about to play the video of me channeling with one of my dear subscribers, Ross. He is an awesome being who is also practicing channeling and healing, and I hosted three Surfing Waves of Light community nights, and he came to the third one. It was just me and him, and we had an awesome time. He asked some questions about how to be the best healer, energetic crystals, and much more. So here is the channeling on that, and you'll get to see him at the end. Send some love to Ross. He's awesome. He's been super supportive of me on my journey, so send him love because he is on his own path, and I can't wait to see all the awesome things that he does. And the Arcturians have some great answers in the channeling for all of us to learn, myself included. I love a good question. All right, enjoy the video.
Okay. All right. So let's see what the Arcturians have to say about how we amplify our healing energy, how we can work with energetic crystals, even if we don't physically have them in reality, and what we can do to tell people how many sessions a healing could take based on what they're experiencing. All right, so I'm going to close my eyes. Let's see what the Arcturians have to say. Greetings, dear beings, with special regards to Ross. We are the Arcturian Council, and we are pleased to be with all of you, those present in physical form and those who may be listening to this recording at a later date. We are so blessed here where we are. Sometimes we say on the other side or in the non-physical realm, because we are not limited in a body. And so we can be everywhere with you. We can transmit and hold this energy wherever it goes, whether it is in New Jersey with this being where we bring it into the physical form, or a video that reaches China or Japan or Australia. We can go there because our energy is not defined. It is not attached to physicality, as we have chosen to be in this form of expression at this quote unquote time and place in existence. And so it allows us to be multifaceted and multidimensional in our moment to moment experience, which is a contrast to those of you who have chosen to take your energetic form and bring it into the physical. For you are riding in a much more stiff, a much more structured vehicle, one that has its pros and cons, and one that we are excited to explore with you today. Seeing that each and every one of you hearing this message through a body is a physical being, you, of course, have different ways of bringing energy into this planet. Many of you chose to come into physicality, not because it was the most fun or most energetically pleasing thing for you to do. No, you came into a physical body because you knew that when dealing with a physical planet that has physical problems, as the perception of the mind of the collective sees it, you knew that being in a physical body was one of the most effective ways that you could bring this energy into this planet, into this time, and into your beloved brothers and sisters, the reflections of yourself that you have come here to assist in course correction so that you may all come back from your separated fractal selves into one. Yes, as a non-physical being, there is cons to our presence. This is something we experience when we are trying to get to or trying to be in contact with a being who is not open to non-physical. A con of this earth planet is that many of the religious teachings do not inspire beings that are not within the structures of these religions and churches to connect directly with spirit. And this was purposeful in the design of the world, in the design of the earth game, as we call it, because this is really a game. It is a challenge. It is a level. It is a test of skills, so to speak. When you come to earth, you know that you are going to be walking up a mountain with a rock that is coming down after you, pushing that rock up the hill because you have the odds stacked against you. That is the challenge of earth. That is the inspiration for many beings. They want to come to a planet where there are insurmountable odds for them to overcome and see if their soul has enough depth, enough growth, enough spirit to be able to be knocked down again and again and again, and yet get up and keep going and make it to the peak of the mountain, which is that self-realization as highest form of expression in the physical, as well as self-realization of what you truly are, which is energetic, non-physical beings. So you have come to this planet, dear Ross, and the others listening, because you decided that you wanted to be a transformer. You wanted to be an electrical human being who holds space for others and who grounds this non-physical energy in being a physical vehicle. The pros of being a physical vehicle is that you can radiate energy out from your physical body. And this is a form of expression that closed off beings are used to. Even if they do not directly receive us or other energies in a spiritual matter, they are used to walking into a room and feeling other people's energies. They're used to walking into a house that may have creepy vibes and feeling that energy, or walking into a place or seeing a new place, a beautiful place, and feeling that energy. So even though they are disconnected from energy in its expression or understanding of how you may perceive it, they are always perceiving energy. They just do not have the correct teachings, the correct understanding to receive it fully. And so when we come knocking on their door as pure non-physical beings, they cannot always receive us. They may feel us, but they are not truly able to receive us in the depth and the level and the opening that those of you who are on spiritual journeys at this time can. And so, dear Ross, you and this being, Brittany, has come here because you wanted to be a transformer. You wanted the experience of not only being physical and sending this energy out, bringing it through as a facilitator out into the world, out into the beings who wish to receive it out, but you also did not want to be blocked by this issue that we have here in the non-physical. You decided, yes, it is going to be difficult to be on Earth, but from a human perspective, I can reach other humans. And you, as intelligent souls, know that the physical makeup of the planet is really a combination of the collective thoughts of each individual being. And so in a physical body, you can have a bigger effect. And you have seen this through well-known channelers and healers and speakers and artists. They all came into this physicality and decided to take their energetic non-physical form and bring it into form, one that can be received, one that can be understood, one that can be taken in to the hearts and minds and souls of these beings that are closed off, that are not open, that are not in alignment with love through the education they've received, as was the plan. And yet so many beings have gotten stuck in this cycle. And so many of you decided to come at this time to be transformers. So what does that mean? This leads into your next question, dear Ross, of how do you bring in stronger energies? You bring them in by fine-tuning yourself. Like an instrument, you are an electrical being that requires fine-tuning. And this fine-tuning can come in many ways. We do not stress eating perfectly or doing anything perfectly, because perfection is an ego-created idea that often knocks beings down and keeps them from realizing their potential. Perfection is not why you came to Earth. Earth is the opposite expression of perfection. Earth is a disjointed, it is a mismatch, it is a place where difficulty and challenge come, and only challenge allows growth. But when you are experiencing ease and perfection, this is not the case. So when you are fine-tuning your instrument, this is a day-to-day process that also involves listening to us. Fine-tuning can come in different ways and comes in different forms. For some beings, the best way they can fine-tune in a moment is by changing their diet, is by increasing the physical form's ability to create and bring energy through from the earth. For other beings, it is much more of a mind and meditative game. This is a place where many beings are struggling at this time. Heavy thoughts, low frequency ideas, and beliefs that have been ingrained since a young age, they are coming into play in the physical. And so for them, fine-tuning will come in working with the mind. So generally, there's not one way to fine-tune your instrument, but we can tell you that when your instrument is fine-tuned, you will know it, because these are the moments when you are feeling your best. These are the moments where you stand in your place and you feel connected to the earth. You feel connected to the heavens. You feel our presence because you are grounded, you are centered, and you are open. So as a transformer of energy, as an electrical being, we encourage you to make your battery, your electrical transformative properties, as capable of receiving as possible. And for you, dear Ross, we see the best way for you to do that by being as grounded and centered as possible. We see that your physical structure is upholding well. We see that you are navigating the situations in your life, many of them with the correct thoughts, with aligned ideas, and not allowing frustrations of life to get you down. When you are down, you cannot bring energy through as effectively as when you are neutral or up, because that is the nature. Your electrical cells and nervous system, they cannot bring through energy effectively when the mind is down. And we see you as doing this. So a daily practice of consciously connecting to the earth, using every step in your day to be connected, to connect to that electrical field that the energy of the earth creates. That is how you can continue to bring these energies. Focusing on them increases that energy. Love is not a tangible thing. It is the focusing on what you want. That is love in its highest expression. Because when you focus on loving outcomes, loving ideas, loving transformations, that is where the energy flows. And so you, dear being, are being guided to bring love into every step using the physical form as we have described. And for right now, we see that focusing on that grounding, that centering, that connection to spirit, that is how you can bring it through. When you feel your hands get hot and you continue to focus on that, that says to us and to the energies, Ross wants more of that. This being wants more of that. Whereas other beings do feel that heat in their spine, that heat in their hands, and they get freaked out or scared. For those beings, we do not flow the energy stronger. We do not push them, because that is not our role here. Our role is not to invoke fear. Our role is not to invoke distrust or create sensation in the body that is not wanted. So by continuing to focus, by continuing to practice, by continuing to run that energy on yourself and on anyone around you, this is how it strengthens. But being the best electrical transformer you can be, it is as if your body was full of pipes and you are making the pipes as clean and clear and ready to receive water, if water was meant to flow through them, as possible. Doing this in the electrical terms, making your body as best possible to receive and give energy. And grounding is a great way for that. Of course, eating the best foods is helpful, but remember, intention is so important, and our focus always goes back to the mind. Even with this being, her physical back injury has little to do with her body and much more to do with her mind. And as we love to bring in other energies this being has listened to, it is so much less important what you eat and what you drink, but more what you think about what you're eating and drinking. Your mind is so creative that it can transform anything. It can transform the most horrible of processed foods into something that your body can use and utilize to create love, because that is the role of a human, is to transform. Now, does that mean we encourage you to seek out horrible or less high frequency foods? No, but we encourage you to use your intention and practice using your intention to override the rules of this society, the conditioned ideas that you are limited to what is physically in front of you. And this is something you have already overcome in your experiences with energy, with healing your dog. We love the concept of this energetic crystal, where you are placing crystals in the field of beings or your dog in order to bring about changes. And this is the kind of mental games that we want you to play, because you are so used to seeing a chair and pressing it and knowing, oh, this is just a chair. But truly, the human mind can create anything it wants. It can shift, it can transform, but it is a skill that need be practiced. And that is something many beings do not understand. Channeling, energy healing, all of these different spiritual practices, they come with practice, because you have not been practicing them for years and years and years. And one day you start to wake up to your inner knowing, to your inner light. And then if the floodgates don't open wide, or the words don't come through right away, you think, oh, I'm not gifted. Oh, I am not special. Oh, I'm not a chosen one. These are all ideas of the ego mind, of the belief system that got you to this place on earth. And transforming the minds to know that you all can create anything. That is how you heal. That is how you teach beings to heal, because they are feeling so limited in their minds, and that is what causes their physical problems. This being's back injury is a result of her own feelings of limitation. She is up against a huge wall in her mind, a huge guilt-ridden, conditioned idea and belief from her childhood that she is now only having to face because of her spiritual journey. If she would have remained in the hospital as a nurse, she could have went through her entire life without ever facing this, because her value was set. But now, as she is experiencing life through the lens of an entrepreneur, of a spiritual business person, she is having the opportunity to see all of the areas where her shadow exists, where she is not actually in the higher frequency realms when it comes to thinking. And when something becomes so important in the life path of a being that it needs transformation, that is when these injuries occur. So this leads us to your other question, dear Ross, of how do you tell someone how many sessions they will need for healing? Sometimes you do not know, but we will say, as you practice, you will learn. But you can also always ask us. You can always say, dear guides, can you help me to know how many sessions this healing is going to take for this being? Because sometimes You could do 1,000,000 sessions and that being would not change. What energy hopes to facilitate is the relaxation response, which in turn allows beings to connect with us for themselves. So, through an energy session, while we are always moving energy through the physical body, optimizing it, creating it to be its best electrical transformer it can be, we are also hoping to help that being reach their inner guidance, their inner knowing of what they need to do. For there is so much conditioning on this planet that even a being like this one, who is super spiritual in her day to day life, can still come upon blocks where she does not feel it is in her best interest to honor herself and will honor the will and needs of others. And when you live in a society where the expectations are always very high for performance, for task related performance, you have so many beings walking around doing things they don't want to do because their minds are so conditioned to believe it. So the first step for us in healing someone is for them to connect to their inner knowing, to understand the message that that physical disease is trying to tell them. The second step is to give them the courage to override their conditioning so that they can make the changes in their life that is necessary to allow that dis-ease to go away. That dis-ease is within them. This dis-ease of this back pain for this being has been with her for years, but now the energies are increasing. And if she wishes to be a vehicle for us and wishes to sustain her life and wishes to step into the higher frequency realms as she sets her intention to do, we needed to stop her because it would not be possible for her to go on giving through her conditioned ideas of always having to give of herself and not filling her own cup before helping others. And this is something you are going to come up against so often when you are facilitating healing for beings. You are going to see so easily when they talk to you and they set their intention, you are going to know exactly what they need to do. But what you will not understand is what thoughts, what ideas, what stories in the mind are holding that being back. So truly the answer to your question is however many sessions it gets for that being to understand the message and apply it. And it is through the application of true free will. That is when beings shine. That is when beings leave their diseases behind and become more of themselves. You see, the other obstacle that we overcome here on this planet, one that we have used as part of the teaching of this injury for this being, is you have systems in place for healing. So you have an issue, you go to a physician and they tell you you have this disease or this disorder. Well, as you physical humans love to do, you attach to that physical idea and you bring that into your consciousness and you accept it. Beings on earth do not realize that they are able to choose what ideas they accept, but the belief systems around doctors and medicine is so strong that you go to a physician and you receive a diagnosis and you make that a part of your identity. So not only now are we dealing with beings not able to receive us, beings not able to hear their own inner guidance, being so conditioned in their day-to-day lives that they cannot make new choices because of the heavy societal pressures felt day in and day out, which we need not describe to you or this being as you feel them. You know, that is the difficulty it is in coming out of the spiritual closet. It is the same energy applied in other ways. So beings believe these physicians, they believe them so much that they allow that into their concept. They start to identify with their disease and they start to believe whatever the life trajectory of that disease is, according to the doctor or Google or wherever they are getting their medical information from. And now suddenly, especially if diagnosed with a long-term disease, a chronic illness, or a disease of illness, suddenly they are not focused on the changes in life they need to make. No, they are focused on how they're going to manage this disease, how they are going to go through life having diabetes or having osteoporosis or having gout or whatever label you put on them. When really this is a distraction. This is a distraction from what is really going on. What is really going on is that being is way out of alignment with their life. And what they need most is unconditionally loving space held for them so that they can figure out what they need to figure out, so that they can come to a true understanding that no matter what they have agreed to in the past, they can make a new choice in every moment, because you beings, although physical, are able to change what you are in every single moment. Your mind is not the same when you practice spiritual meditations and different books like the Course in Miracles. When you think that your mind is part of God's and you are very holy, you have changed the energetic and physical makeup of who you are. The cellular DNA changes in response to what you think. So part of the goal as healers is to be facilitators of unconditional love. How much space can you hold for that being to let them know that they are not crucified to the ideas of the past that they were given, and that they can start to choose again, and they can recreate their lives even within the structures they have agreed to. They can start to make small choices, small little steps that can bring them on the path to freedom. For injury does not come when you are on the path to freedom. It comes when you are taking the long way around. And at this time, we do not see the long way around as the best route for beings. And some will take that, and that is okay. We accept their free will in that manner. But our role as energy facilitators in the non-physical is to hold that unconditionally loving space, because there is nothing we really need to tell you or anyone else that you don't already know. It's just that there is so much conditioning, layers and layers of ideas and thoughts that have blocked that light, and yet still some has been able to come through. And so really we hold space for you so you can start to follow that light, follow that good feeling, follow that inner knowing, one little step at a time. And with each step, you clear a layer of the field. And this is the complex underwritings of the energetic work you are doing. Now, when it comes to animals, it is a bit different. They are not junk full of conditionally loving ideas, expectations, and thoughts and beliefs. They are not required to get married and have children and mortgages and jobs and all these things. They have come in under different circumstances, and their energy fields are different as well. You can implant in them energetic crystals much easier, much more easily than a being of the human form, for they are always receiving. They are open books, these dear pets, these dear animals. Their fields go for much bigger areas around them than a human field. The human field is about 6 feet around traditionally, depending on how strong the transformer is, how well that being is receiving energy. Whereas the animal, it can be 10 times that. And so they are taking in everything around them, good and bad. They are receivers. They are pure receivers. And they are pure givers because of that mode of receiving. That is part of the reason they are able to give so much unconditional love. And so as they are giving unconditional love, they can receive it. So when you place a non-physical crystal in their field, they receive that and they will take that into their field. And part of that is you, because you are focusing that crystal into their field and they are open to receiving it. And voila, there it stays. When two beings are open to receiving, when two beings create together, it makes that structure of the crystal much stronger than if just one being is focusing on the crystal. It is so much more about what you think with those around you as opposed to what is already there. It is easy to see what is around. It's easy to look around and feel depressed or sad about the earth, about the state of the planet, about the state of your life. And yet, when you can look into each moment and allow the magnitude of that moment to expand by creating with another being, especially an animal being, these are perfect beings to work with, for they are so loving and so open and will really allow you to expand your practice. And now, when you place those crystals in your own practice into a being that is a human, you can ask them to co-create that with you. You can say, I know that your back is hurting, dear Brittany, and so we are going to co-create a tourmaline crystal that sits at the base of your spine. I'm going to see it there. You're going to see it there. Let your partner, Greg, know that it is there. Let everyone know that it is there, providing you with the vibrations and frequencies that not only will heal the physical pain, but will also give you the courage to take the steps in your life that you need in order to shift out of these low frequency thoughts and ideas that were ingrained in you when you were a child. And you can take that example and apply it all around. And we know that you will, dear Ross, because we know that you are already receiving us. And we know that you resonate with these channelings because your guides are very similar, especially when it comes to these healing topics. And we love your passion for healing. And we want you to know that you are taking the steps that are necessary to come into full expression of that healing, of that healer nature. But really, all a healer is someone who sets an example for others and holds space for them, and it can unconditionally loves them so that they can be themselves. Remember, you are all just remembering. You have never really forgotten, and yet in this earth game, there are complex layers of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. And so through that lens, can you experience separation? Can you experience disease? Can you experience pain? That is not something that we can experience on this side because we are so much more aware of all things. And yet that is part of the earth game. You come here knowing you will not know. That is part of the fun. That is part of the challenge. That is part of the sport of this earth. And so you have to dig through the layers to really remember who you are. And yet it is always there. So continue to be yourself, dear Ross. Continue to allow us to inspire you with these ideas and continue to co-create what is not there. That is what energy is. It is not physically formed like a chair. It is the feeling self. That is what you are getting in tune with and fine-tuning every day. And that is what you are teaching those around you. For they know the answers. Even traditional psychologists will agree. It is not for them to tell beings what to do. It is for them to hold space so that those beings can answer their own questions. And that is what you are doing. You are answering your own question. And we know that through this channeling, you are receiving some of your own information, some of your own insight, some of your own ideas. We encourage you to write those down because as energy is channeled, it is unconditionally loving. And so it expands. It expands you. It expands this being. Every time she gets to answer a question, she is expanded. And that is why she loves doing this work. And that is why we love working with her, because her goal is to expand. And if she does not align her mind correctly, she cannot expand in a sustainable way. For you are all balancing the spiritual being with the human form. And that is the real challenge. You are trying to find ways to integrate this remembering, this knowing, this spirituality with the consciousness that you have been confronted with. The consciousness that you chose to come into, which is reflected in the external world around you. This being chose to come in with a consciousness that did not have a strong sense of self-value, a strong sense of giving to self, because that is what she chose and knew her soul needed most to overcome. If she can overcome that in this lifetime and in these next few moments, as they are in days and weeks and months, it will set her on a trajectory that fulfills her life plan. So listen to us, ask us in the moment, how many sessions do we think this is going to take? And we will whisper in your ear. And you can always educate beings with this caveat. You can explain to them how you see disease in the body. This is how I see your dis-ease, Mrs. Walters. I see that your wrist pain, it's related to you. You're overdoing, so to speak. Maybe you would not say that because you don't want to tell them. But you can say, I see this wrist pain as having a reflection in the mental, spiritual, and emotional space. There's some thought, there's some idea, there's some obligation that you are fulfilling. And maybe some reflection upon what that could be would be helpful for you in understanding and knowing why this wrist pain is so intense for you. You see, as beings get older, they have all these chronic illnesses. Chronic illness, it's really just the continued unloving thoughts over and over again. And it becomes so sufferable for the mind that it appears in the body as a chance to clear that. So work with the words we have used already, as we have said so many. Continue to co-create those energetic crystals whenever you feel inspired to place in someone's field. An energetic feather, an energetic star, an energetic whatever it is. Continue to create that. You are a creative being, and there are so many tools that you can use just through the creativity of thought and connecting to us and allowing us to inspire you. Continue to create a vehicle so that you can bring that information through. Ground yourself, center yourself, and connect to us. Be as open as you can to receiving that unconditional love and focus on it as it comes through. Allow it to flow. Practice, practice, practice. Do it every day. If you wanted to build a strong bicep, you would go to the gym and you would lift weights every day. So when you want to build more healing energy, you want to be the strongest transformer you can be, practice bringing that unconditional love in for yourself. And when you are talking to beings who speak of their knee hurting and you feel that energy coming, allow it to flow through. That being does not even need to know. Their higher self can accept or not accept it, and just listen to whatever they have to say, complaining about whatever they have to say. Hold that space, send that energy, and focus on it. See where it's coming in. Bring it through the heart, into the neck, down the shoulders, and into the hands, and just focus, 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 because what you focus on will grow. And that is what love is. Love expands and non-love contracts. And as you know, you are an expanding being, dear Ross, because you are so limited that the only way to go is through expansion. You are also limited as you are humans, but we are specifically speaking with you in mind, dear Ross, because you are here and you have graced us with your presence. And we are so appreciative of that. We love you, and we love all of you here or not physically here very much. And we will be speaking to you whenever you call upon us, through this being or not. We are with you. Remember who you are. Remember, we are a part of you. We are not foreign. We are not sitting in spaceships far away. We are energy. We can be everywhere, and that includes within you. Bring us in, allow us to heal, and allow us to show you what is needed for your growth so that you can become the highest expression of yourself, and therefore ripple that effect to each mirror image around you. We are the Arcturian Council, and it has been such a pleasure to speak with all of you.
That was fantastic. Wow. Really amazing. So the perspective was just exactly what I needed to hear in every aspect. I think I got 100 things from that.
Good. Oh, thanks, Ross. Yeah, they definitely clarified some things for me too. I mean, I need to listen to it again.
Yeah, me too.
but yeah, there was a lot there that, yeah, man, great questions. Great questions.
All right, thanks for watching that experience with Ross and I, and thank you again to Ross for your beautiful question. Love you so much. Love all of you who support me and listen to these channelings and are interested in what I do. It's super awesome. I love sharing my energy with all of you. It brings me so much self-value as I'm growing in my own way. We're all always growing, but I really feel like I'm growing too. So thank you, Ross. Thank you, all of you. I love you so much. And I'll see you again soon.